Alright guys, it looks like we are rolling. How are you all doing, everyone? It's your buddy Jake Dominguez, back of course with another movie review. Now, this review is a little late, obviously. This movie, Black Panther, which I am doing a movie review of today, has already been out a few weeks at the time I'm recording this video, and I'm really sorry this is so late. I've just been so busy lately with work and all that, and I wish I could get these videos out a lot more quicker than I usually do. But at least I have time to record this review for you all today. Got quite a bunch of requests to review this movie, obviously. This has really been a massive success for Marvel. A lot of people love this movie, and I think a lot of you wanted to hear my thoughts, which is awesome. That's kind of cool. I'm glad you want to hear my thoughts. So thank you for being here, and let's talk about Black Panther. Got my Civil War shirt on, because that is where Black Panther, of course, was introduced in the Marvel Universe. How crazy it is that this franchise, the whole MCU, has been around for like a decade, basically. And later this year, we're getting Avengers Infinity War, what it's been all leading up to. That's crazy. And some of these movies are better than others, but they've all been at least good movies, with only a few exceptions. Some of them are great. If you guys know me, you know that I love Marvel. I love superheroes. I love comics. I've been a fan of these characters since I was so young. And it's a dream come true to see these movies on the big screen. However, if you also know me and have seen some of my reviews for maybe like Thor Ragnarok or something, you also know that I have some issues with some of the MCU movies. I have some flaws with some of them. I think some of them could be a little cookie cutter, and I wish some of them could be a bit more fresh. I wish they're a little less formula driven and that sort of thing. So I also have some of my issues with some of these films. And it's interesting how that works. I love these movies. I think they're all great. But I also have some problems with them. And Black Panther, right off the bat, is really awesome. Because even though it does have some of the issues I have with some of Marvel's other films, this is actually a legitimately awesome, great film. Might be in my top 5 Marvel movies, maybe even top 3. I know that's saying a lot, and some people may disagree with me there, but man, Black Panther is a really great film. So, Black Panther tells the story of T'Challa. Again, we saw him introduced in Captain America Civil War, and if you remember back in that movie, his father was tragically killed, which means he is now the one who's going to become the king of Wakanda, which is hidden over in Africa. It is an amazing place full of technological advancement, and it's beautiful and all that. So he has to become king and all the responsibility that comes with that. But when they find out that Claw, remember him, Andy Serkis from Avengers Age of Ultron? Yeah, they've been really setting this movie up well, haven't they? When they find out that he has recently stolen some Wakandan weapons or something like that, they have to go on an adventure to stop him, which leads to a huge mess of things that could challenge T'Challa and his kingship, and also the country and all of Wakanda in general. It is a big deal. And this movie is wonderful. I was super excited to see Black Panther. I was never that familiar with him in the comics at all. I don't even know if I've ever read a comic with him in it. The most I learned about him was in Civil War, which I thought he was great in that film. I thought Chadwick Boseman was awesome in it. But the reason I was most excited to see this movie was because of its co-writer and its director, Ryan Coogler. He is one of my favorite filmmakers working today. And back in 2013, he had his film Fruitvale Station premiere at the Sundance Film Festival, and it later premiered that year. And that movie, I think, is a masterpiece. I watched it again recently on Netflix, and it is a heartbreaking movie. It's one of the most powerful films I've ever seen, and it is so devastating. But it is a masterpiece. But I became an even bigger fan of his when I saw his movie, Creed. This movie was outstanding. I loved this film. As a Rocky fan since like back in junior high, this movie was everything I wanted. I will one day do a review of this movie because, in fact, a Creed sequel is scheduled to come out later this year. And I'm not sure if that's going to be pushed back to next year or not, but as of now, it is scheduled to come out later this year. So I think I'm going to do a series of reviews about Rocky and Creed coming up. That's my plan anyway. You guys know me in advance. We'll see if that happens. But anyway, I loved this movie. And I was really surprised when I found out that after this, he signed on to do Black Panther. He had another sort of teaching drama scheduled to do with Michael B. Jordan, that sort of thing. And I was like, really surprised. A Marvel movie? That's interesting. I mean, it makes sense. Of course you want to do the biggest movie you can. But I was still really surprised by that. And I was interested to see if his vision and his style of filmmaking would still come through in a big budget movie like this. And I was even more curious when Ryan Coogler would go on record saying that this would be his most personal film. I think in an interview for Esquire or GQ or something, it was back in May of 2016. I don't remember exactly, but basically he would talk about how this film would be his most personal film yet. And being a fan of his, I knew how personal his last two films were. That caught my attention. And having seen Black Panther, I can see maybe why this was his most personal film. The themes in this movie are kind of incredible. Black Panther is, first of all, an absolutely entertaining movie. It's awesome. It's beautifully shot. The DP, the director of photography, Rachel Morrison, who has collaborated with Ryan Coogler before. This is such a beautiful shot movie. The action is awesome. It's powerful. It's incredibly entertaining and fun. The comedy is really great. It's just an awesome movie. It's what you would expect from a great Marvel superhero movie. But like other Marvel films, but not all of them, but like the few that are my favorites, Black Panther has a message. And it's hard to get into those messages without getting into spoilers, so I'm going to avoid most of that. But look at Marvel's best movies. All of them have messages in them beyond all the fun. Look at the first Iron Man movie. It's about how Tony Stark is making weapons for people to use in wars and how he wants to use that technology to change that. I mean, that's actually deals with some pretty interesting subject matter. I mean, the opening scene is him getting attacked in Iraq with some soldiers. There's some cool nuggets underneath that. Captain America Winter Soldier is about a man who is absolutely patriotic and loves America and about the themes of going against the government, basically, and about liberty and versus tyranny and stuff like that. Even Civil War had some of those messages going on in it. So all the best Marvel films has that, and Black Panther, without getting into spoilers, has that as well, and it does it incredibly well. But beyond all that, this is just an entertaining movie to watch. It is so fun. All the characters are awesome. T'Challa is great. He's a great character, just as awesome as he was in Civil War. But all the side characters are really awesome as well. Lupita Nyong'o, who's really becoming one of my favorite actresses in this film, was it Nakia? For some reason I'm probably mispronouncing that. I'll remember it after I finish this video. That's always how this works. But she is really awesome in this movie. All the women in this film are great. It has really strong woman characters who are just as incredibly awesome and cool as Black Panther is. And that's great. Angela Bassett plays his mother in the film, who was the queen of Wakanda and that sort of thing. That's perfect casting. Letitia Wright is a standout in this movie. She plays T'Challa's sister, who's kind of like Hugh in the James Bond movie. She makes all of Black Panther's gadgets and stuff like that. She is hilarious. I wasn't too familiar with her acting beforehand. I think she's going to be in Ready Player One later this month, but she is awesome as Shuri. She was such a great character, and I really hope they put her in more Marvel movies, because they do some cool stuff with her in the comics, and I hope that continues here. All the actors are great. Andy Serkis as Claw is a lot of fun. He's totally chewing up the scenery. You guys know I love him. Martin Freeman is here reprising his character from Civil War. It's great to see him, fun to see him. He has a cool little part in the movie. Winston Duke has a small kind of role, but he's really funny, really good. Forrest Whitaker's in it. Always great to see Forrest Whitaker. But there is one actor that is the standout in this movie, along with Chadwick Boseman, of course, as Black Panther. And that is the character that Michael B. Jordan plays as the villain, Killmonger. Now, if you guys have seen, remember my Thor Ragnarok video when I did the review for that movie? You guys remember that one of my main issues with that movie was the villain. I thought Cate Blanchett was great in that movie, but the villain wasn't that strong. And I've talked about how that's been my problem with a lot of Marvel's movies, and a lot of critics and fans have acknowledged it as well. A lot of Marvel movies' villains have been kind of forgettable and just there for the plot and could have been a lot better. This villain is great. Michael B. Jordan, oh my gosh. This guy is a great villain. First of all, Michael B. Jordan just does a great job as a performance. He's just pure charisma, and you kind of like him, even though you hate him at the same time. You kind of hate to love him, and love to hate him. One of those things going on here. And he is so powerful and so strong. And what makes a great villain? I think what makes a great villain is that the villain thinks he's the hero of their own story. I forget who originated that quote, but every villain thinks he's doing the right thing, or thinks he's justified in doing evil. Killmonger in this movie is evil, flat out. He's killing people, he's doing the wrong thing. But when you look at what he says, and when you learn more about his character, you actually find yourself really caring about him and understanding why he's doing what he's doing. And some of the things he says in this movie have a little truth to them. He takes the truth and kind of distorts them a little bit. So when he says some of the things in this movie and the reasoning for why he's doing, you're kind of like, oh man, okay, you are evil, you are wrong, but I can kind of see what you mean there. You know what I mean? Look at all the great movie villains, like Darth Vader or the Joker or something like that. All the great movie villains. They're all like that. You kind of love to hate them, you kind of understand, but you also understand why they're doing what they're doing. You kind of look at what they're saying, and there's a bit of truth inside their lives and that sort of thing. Kylo Ren in the new Star Wars movies is a great example of that as well. And Killmonger is an awesome villain. It's hard to get into what he's doing without getting into spoilers, but he is great. And makes this movie more of the awesome movie that it is. Overall, guys, it has all of that in it, but it's also just such an entertaining movie. This movie is kind of like a James Bond movie in a way, just as much as it's a superhero movie. Which, as a big fan, that made me really happy. Like I said, Shuri is kind of like Q making the gadgets and that sort of thing. It's an international adventure. Let's talk about Wakanda. Wakanda is awesome. I want Wakanda to be real. It's basically a character in this movie, and it's so beautiful and awesome, and all the technology there. I want Wakanda to be real. Disneyland should make a Wakanda land. That'd be awesome. Guys, this movie is awesome. It is so much fun. It is so entertaining. The world building is great. It has some spiritual themes in there. Themes about family and responsibility of being a king or a leader and that sort of thing. There's even some genealogy kind of spiritual themes in there, which made me really happy to see. This movie is awesome. And I do have a few flaws with the movie, but they're kind of forgivable for me, because the movie is so awesome and so entertaining that they don't take what otherwise be, these flaws, basically. But hands down, my biggest flaw with Black Panther is sometimes it does feel like there's an over-reliance on CGI. There's lots of great fighting and action scenes in the movie, and especially towards the third act, it does feel like they maybe overdone it just a little bit. Maybe there's also a little bit of pacing issues in the first act, maybe on the first viewing, but it didn't bother me when I watched it the second time. Because I've seen this 2 times in the theaters. I mentioned that? Well, I have, because it's really good. But the first act spends so much time setting up a lot of things. How Wakanda works, what all these people are, stuff like that. And at first, when watching the movie, I was kind of like, okay, can we get going maybe a little bit? But watching it again didn't bother me as much. But I think my main issue with the film is that, an over-reliance on CGI a bit, and maybe a little bit of pacing issues and that sort of thing. But other than that, it's pretty forgivable. Like I said, this movie is really entertaining. And it does exactly what you want a superhero movie to do. Superhero movies are supposed to be inspiring, right? Superheroes are kind of like the myths of our day and that sort of thing. And Black Panther gives us exactly that. Ryan Coogler is on fire. He continues to be such a great filmmaker. I can't wait to see what he does next. If they don't make a Black Panther sequel, they're obviously crazy. The movie's been hugely successful. It hasn't been announced yet, but I know they're going to make one. In fact, we're going to get one soon when Avengers Infinity War comes out. How awesome is that? In a sense, because we're going to see Black Panther and Wakanda again. You know that because of the trailers. Really cool. Anyway, a little off topic. So in terms of the grade of Black Panther, I'm going to give it an A-. I think this is an awesome movie. It's incredibly entertaining. I highly recommend it. Because this review is so late, you probably already have. You probably have seen it more than once like I have because of how good it is. But honestly, awesome movie. Can't wait for Infinity War. Guys, what are your thoughts on Black Panther? Let me know down in the comments section below. And what do you think? Does this movie make you more excited to see Infinity War? And what are your predictions for Avengers Infinity War? I have a few of my own. I'm interested to see if they happen. Let me know that down in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And most importantly, never forget, I'm your friend. I'm always going to be there for you. Thank you so much, all of you, for being my friends. You guys are the greatest, and I will see you next time. Wakanda forever.